12 books in 1 year. Are
Yeah.
you mad? Why?
Yeah. It seemed like a really good idea in December when I was winding down and thinking, oh, what do I want to do in 2026? Um, I, am I mad? I mean, I guess I'm a little bit mad. There's kind of a few things to it. I had a bunch of stories that kind of sitting on a hard drive and not really doing anything. And I just thought, what's the point in them being there? I feel a bit burnt out in the whole process of going through submissions through anthologies and collections and stuff because you're just putting yourself out there and you're completely at the whim of maybe one or two people, and if they don't click with your writing, it's no slant on your writing
Yeah.
necessarily, but it's just such a pain to go through. And I just thought, do you know what, in all my other creative pursuits, particularly like with my music, I get stuff done, I put it out there and see what the world thinks. And I just wanted to try and do the same for my writing. So I just figured it was a good way of getting stuff out there and keeping me motivated and keeping me going to experiment with things like cover design, with little bits of like very low budget marketing, um, and just trying to get a range of different stuff out there. So the stuff I'm putting out, there's a couple of novellas, there's some collections, there's some collaborations, which I'm guessing we might talk about in a bit. So it's really just a bit of fun. And also, I guess on the other side of it, I figured, right, ultimately, so I have drafted a novel that I plan to release in 2027. And I felt like at the end of 2025, I'm probably not at the point in terms of having a following or fan base where there's much point in putting out a novel. So if I do a year where I'm literally giving stuff away for free once a month, maybe I'll pick up a few more newsletter subscribers and followers and stuff. Um, so really, it was just I like a project. I like a project that can keep me sustained through a year. Um, and like I say, there was stuff there that was just sitting, gathering dust, and doing nothing. So it's kind of been it's been nice to go and visit those stories that I haven't done much with, and then looking at the gaps in the calendar, it's like, okay, I've got some stuff to really get my teeth into and write specifically for this year now. So yes, I probably am mad, but I'm having fun with it as well, which is the main thing.
So how does if you started thinking about it in late 2025, how's the process of rolling them out work? Like what's your sort of schedule to get something out every month into production?
Yeah, so I started the year with like, okay, I know I want to hit January and February with a couple of collections. So for both of those, there were maybe a couple of stories that I wrote to finish them off. So the first one I put out in January was all stories that are kind of found footage stories. And they were all pretty much there. I just went back over them and gave them a bit of a tidy up and wanted to tie them all to my fictional town of Kingsworth. So pulled that together and wrote a wraparound story for it because the thing that bugs me most in like anthology movies and stuff is if there's not a wraparound story, I get really frustrated. So put that together, and then the collection Short and Sharp, which are all sort of micro fiction. Um, Most of those were written, but what I realized quickly was like, I've got 24 here. If I write two more, that's 26. That's one for each letter of the alphabet. So it was a bit of going through and changing titles and then seeing what letters I had left, and getting them all lined up. So I did a bunch of that. Once the idea struck in sort of December time, I just latched onto that and sort of had everything, all the copy done by the end of December. In terms of the process, so um, I'm trying to keep this as low spend as possible. So I'm not in a position where I'm employing an editor. But thankfully, my dad has a lot of spare time on his hands and he's a really good proofreader. So
Nice.
I pitched it to him in January. I was like, look, I'm doing this thing. Do you fancy being my proofreader? So, like, you'd be reading and reviewing stuff of mine every month. And he really loves it. And, like, his brain is one of those ones where when he can get into something, he's really into it. So, basically I have to print the copies for him as hard copies because he doesn't like reviewing on screen. So thanks to my employer for giving me a bit of paper for printing those stories out.
They owe you that
Um,
at least, surely.
yeah, yeah. And then I just whenever I see him, I hand him a story and he gets back to me. So yeah, he sort of is doing my proofreading, and then with each one, I'm looking. It's basically just like cover design, and then going through the rigmarole of getting it on Amazon, then getting it on Google, and then asking Amazon to price match with Google because a big thing is I want to make it free, and I want to basically use Amazon's environment against them. I don't want to give them any money, but I
Sure.
want the discoverability. So that's kind of the process for each one. My dad I do the writing, I proofread it myself, and then my dad does his proofing while I look at the things like the cover. Um, for one of the others, a friend of mine did do a cover. So for Shattered Soul, the one about the metal band, one of my metalhead friends, he dabbles with bits of artwork, and he did a cover for me, and he refused to let me pay him for it, which was very kind. Um, yeah, and then the last few have been the collaborations. That's been a slightly different process, but yeah, most of it is like I don't know. My brain's quite organized again. With when I get into a project, it's like, okay, what are we doing today? So the story's done, right? I need to look at the cover, um, or I need to dig into Kindle's back end and brace myself for another battle with Amazon customer service to just price match the thing.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh, Amazon customer service, my God.
Yeah, yeah,
What a
a bit of an
nightmare.
oxymoron, really, but yeah.
Oh, just yeah, interminable, like yeah, just digging through files and just finding formatting that's like, slightly off for the, whatever their, quality control is. It's
Mm.
really aggravating,
Yeah, it certainly is.
deeply
Yeah,
aggravating.
I've found it's just like, yeah, the price match stuff. Like I've taken now when I'm requesting the price match to be like, the last time I tried this, I had to go to three supervisors. Can you just do this, please? And it's still taking far longer than it should do. But I'm
So that's a
nothing if not
monthly process,
persistent.
is it?
Monthly
Yeah.
process, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had to write myself a document now, so it's like put it on Amazon first, because then it filters through to Goodreads, so I can grab the Goodreads link for people to put in the file, get it on Storygraph, then grab those links, put them in the file, put it on Google, then do the price match with Google, and then the pain starts when having to contact Amazon because you can't even find the form now. You have to use the stupid AI assistant.
Uh,
You have to tell the AI assistant you want to contact customer service, and
yep,
it then says, "Do you want to contact customer service?" Yeah, I do.
I sure do.
Um, yeah, I'd like to send them an email, please. Oh, we can't send them an email directly, but you can use this form to send them an email. Cool. Just give me that link. Thanks. Yeah, fun, fun.
I'm gonna have to grab that document from you after.
Yeah, no
You've
problem.
done it. Sounds like you've done the legwork. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about AI in a little bit too. But
Mm.
so you mentioned collaborations. I saw you did a bit of a call out the other day for people to get involved as well. What's that looking like?
The collaborations, that's probably turning out to be the most exciting part of the year, actually. So I had, again, it's kind of stemmed from having a few stories that were pretty much there, and they weren't something that sat together naturally. So it was, I think I had five stories, and it was like, this isn't a collection. They're all about 5,000 words. So what can I do with these? And then the idea struck of, again, kind of rooted in my music background, really. When I was growing up, one of the things I remember really enjoying was when bands put out split releases. It was a
Mhm.
great way, like it's particularly big in the hardcore and punk scene. So you get a couple of like-minded bands who they put out an EP together. So it's two of band A's songs, two of band B's songs. And I was just like, why can't we do that with writing? So that's where the idea came from. And then it was like, okay, I'd like to use this as an opportunity to collaborate with some of my favorite British indie horror authors. And I kept it a British initially just because it was like, I've got five. I think if I open it out to anyone, I'll probably be overwhelmed with like where to go. Whereas I'd like to make this a celebration of British indie writers and
Yep.
particularly British writers who don't try and write in America. Again, it's not that I have an issue with that, but I really like stories rooted in in Britain. Um, so from there, it was just like, okay, how can I do this? It's like a split release thing. So I looked at my stories again. I was like, okay, these are the five stories, and these are roughly the five themes. And then I just started reaching out to some of my contacts and was like, hey, I'm going to do this. Um, this would be the deal. I've already written my stories. These are the themes. Would you be interested in writing a story along one of these themes? and we put it out together. And the book goes out for free, but I'll pay you 20 quid for your
Mhm.
story as a thank you for your time. And like, basically, would you be willing to not only contribute a story, but kind of get involved in the marketing and the hype for it? Um, and it's just gone from there. And it's so this the series is called Schism, which I think worked from a sort of like I wanted to reflect the sort of split personality type vibe of it, but also I wanted to be able to use the Tool song on Instagram on all the posts whenever I'm
Awesome.
putting
Yeah,
music
very
on.
good. Yep.
Um, and yeah, we it's panned out really nicely. There's been one slight hiccup in that one of my original collaborators has literally gone AWOL on me. I don't even know if he's okay. Like he's not replying to any of my messages. So
Right.
that's where the call out was that you saw the other day because it
Yeah.
was like, okay, I've got one more story space to fill. But it's been great. So the first one came out in April, and that was the theme of religion with A.D. Jones, who's a really sort of got a really dark sense of humour. So he's based up north and has written some really good stuff. And then the next one was Spirals, which was like stories that just kind of go out of control. That was with Bethany Russo, and she put together one that had an ending that I definitely didn't see coming. And then as we sit here recording this, so I'm just about so Retail Hell, which is this month's one with Sarah Jules. I've just this morning had the email from Amazon saying they've done the price match, so I'll be
Well,
starting
there
to
we
tell
go.
people about that one.
Cool.
So that one's good. And Sarah's been doing big things the last year or so. She's had a couple of sort of hit novels, so I was really pleased to get her on board. And then next month, it's TM Lunn who I'm collaborating with, and we are doing Deepest, Darkest Fears. I've not seen her story yet, but I'm so excited to see it. And then I've just signed up Connor McAleese for the final month, and we are doing Demons together.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's really fun, and I think I knew I needed something in the middle of the year that would just, I don't know, give me an extra bit of zip, so it's not. I think I figured like a quarter of the way through the year, just me focusing on me and talking about me all the time was going to drain me a bit. So actually having other people to celebrate and do
Totally.
stuff with me, really nice way to drive through the summer. And then hopefully that's going to give me the energy to sort of plow through on the other side.
Yeah, I find that, yeah, I started doing anthologies before I sort of worked up the courage to write for
Mm.
myself. And yeah, having the energy of like one or more collaborators on something really does sort of, nudge you along in
Yeah,
terms of yeah, you're just motivated to like sort of make, represent the other person as, well as possible. And,
yeah.
you see them shine as well.
And what's nice as well, I mean, and I hadn't necessarily seen it coming, which is kind of looking at it now as a strange thing to think, but like they've all been supporting each other's releases as well.
Mm.
And like, in my head, I was quite practical of like, okay, I'd really like you to promote your one, and it will be part of the series. I didn't think to be like, oh, and there'll be four other books you can promote, but people have just organically been reviewing the other books that we've done. They've been getting involved on social media, and it's built this nice little community. And even the people who like there are a couple of folks who I reached out to in my initial run who just weren't able to fit it in this year. They've been really good at promoting it. People who put themselves forward when I did the call out last week, and they weren't quite quick enough off the mark. They've been really supportive as well. So it's just been a nice vibe to it, which
Yeah,
has
it's
been really
cool.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like the most satisfying thing is the community you generate, like we're talking about, just before we started recording. But yeah,
Mm.
it's a big motivation to be creative.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah,
make
exactly.
actual connections with people doing cool stuff as well. I do want to know, are you going to try? So if it's two authors, in my mind, I'm seeing like you flip the book over. So like the one half is printed
Ooh,
vertically, and then the other half is upside down, for the flip, just to throw
that's
a challenge
nice.
into the mix.
That's no, that's nice. So the thing is, like, I guess I haven't made it explicit. Like that, I haven't. All of these have been digital releases,
Yep.
again to try and keep costs
Yep.
down. And I haven't quite worked out what slash if I want to do anything with physical releases. But I love that as an idea. It sounds incredibly complicated,
Yes, so
but
annoying. And I'm sure
but
Amazon would reject it every time as a
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think if I did that, I'd have to just do it through
Yep.
Ingram or something and sell it
Yep.
independently. But I'm gonna put a pin in that. I like that as
There
an
you go.
idea.
I
That's
thought that
very
would be
cool.
helpful. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
So you can get credit for that if I
That's
do
what it's
that.
all about. Yeah, and when you open it up to anyone outside the UK too, I might find a story for you.
Nice, nice. That'll be Schism 2027. We'll do that.
2027. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
in. So I want to get onto music and everything else you do at the moment, but like you've got two kids as well, so how do you actually fit everything in and a job?
People, people ask me this all the time. I think there's a few parts to it. I think I've realized as I've got older that I am someone who actually gets energy and satisfaction and release and I guess relaxation from doing creative stuff. I'm not someone who sits down of an evening and watches a series on TV. I will watch movies quite a lot, but I almost watch those more as a storytelling thing. I'm kind of interested in different stories. But basically, particularly since I've had kids, I feel like if I go to bed and I haven't, between putting them to bed and me going to bed, if I haven't either done some writing or done some music or done some reading or like done something with my YouTube channel, basically I feel like the kids have won, and I'm not having that. Um, and and also I think again, like I said earlier, like my when my brain latches onto a project, it likes having projects that are quite long term. I just like having stuff to do. And I think I'm quite fortunate that all of my everything kind of fits in alongside each other. So the writing I can sort of do, I tend to write in bursts, often over the summer because I don't like being outside. So
Yeah.
usually I'll stay inside over the summer and do a lot of my writing. My music, so the other two guys in the band are also in covers bands that are quite busy at weekends getting paid gigs. So we kind of fluctuate. We go in fits and starts as well. Um, so that kind of sort of ebbs and flows. And then the YouTube stuff is kind of I've been doing that on a regular schedule for a few years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess the shorter answer would be I go to bed quite late, and I'm just I'm just focused between like when I'm not on parenting duty in the evening, like most of the time I'll know what I want to achieve that evening, which sound like I'm veering on Stephen Bartlett territory there.
Mhm.
It's not in that kind of like um you know optimizing everything. That's where I get my energy from. Like and that's where I guess there's also a part of me that I want my boys to look at me and think, oh no, he still does stuff. My boys have seen me play live music, and it's been really fun me playing guitar, and my kids are doing their own little circle pit in front of me. And obviously they're not reading my books yet or watching my videos about Stephen King, but like I don't know, I don't want them to just see me as any other dad. I want them to know that it's good to still have hobbies and interests and stuff.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and be passionate about things.
It's funny being asked by an 8-year-old what you're working on, or like,
Yeah.
or then now it's like sort of peering over your shoulder. It's like actually you shouldn't be reading that. No, when are you going to write something for me? Well, but yeah, yeah, it's the interest. Yeah, I get that sort of modeling behavior, and yeah, I mean, I find that because I studied illustration, and I'm finding now that I'm around kids who are being. This is probably a little tangent into artificial intelligence, but now I'm around the school environment where AI has been so
Mm.
prevalent. I'm really conscious of sitting down with the kids and showing them that you can draw a picture
Yeah,
and actually
yeah.
demonstrating process and physically generating something that you've spent the time to hone the craft with, rather
Hmm.
than just you know seeing a lot of teachers just sort of modeling behavior where it's like, oh, I don't think you've thought about this too much.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, put
yeah.
your
I mean,
phone away, please.
definitely. Yeah.
Um, so this is probably super obvious one, and it's a bit of a hack question, but like in terms of influences, you've done the Stephen King podcast for quite a while, and I'd
Yeah.
say Uncle Steve's probably right up there for you
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
yeah. Do you go
Very
into
much.
your Ramsey Campbells and your James Herberts and all those sorts of guys as well, or
So Ramsey Campbell, I've done a couple of books of his. Not quite clicked with me yet, but like so one that sort of I sort of get little bits from. Um, James Herbert again, I've some of his older stuff I've really enjoyed. Some of the latter stuff he put out, I maybe hasn't worked for me quite as well. Um, but I mean, I've been as part of my YouTube channel, I do review books, so I've been getting quite a lot of review copies off NetGalley and stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, there's been some really good things coming out in the last few years. I feel like Nat Cassidy is one whose style I'm really enjoying. I've only read a couple of his so far, but um, really enjoyed his. Um, just thinking who else I've enjoyed. I mean, yeah, it's horror's been in a very good place the last few years. I think
Yep.
like um, there's been lots of good debut authors as well. So it's kind of exciting to sort of see books. It's obviously it's typical like when you get asked this sort of question, then like every book
It all
you've read in the last
floods.
year
Yeah.
just
Just to
goes
keep.
out of your head
Yep.
completely.
Got to keep
Um,
Goodreads up on the other. Yeah, on the monitor.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like, yeah, King is obviously the big influence on me in terms of just motivation and writing style and all of that. But yeah, I mean, I read. I think at this point in the year, I've read 50 books this year, so like it's yeah,
But
it's just like yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think I've cracked 30. So like, I thought I was moving all right. But yeah, that's impressive.
yeah. I mean, again, it's just like I'm always like on my lunch break at work and stuff. And again, going back to parenting, like one of the best things I've done, even though it's an Amazon product, is buying a new Kindle that I can read with the lights off, because my boys like to have someone stay with them while they go to sleep.
Yep.
So for that sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, I can be sitting reading while they're dozing off. So I mean, like I mean, I've just recently read a book called Bloodfire Baby by Erin E. Carson, a debut novel, and that's like been the best thing I've read this year so far,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's incredible. It's like it's about a new mother, and kind of a sort of it is trauma based, but it's like it's a look at sort of postpartum depression with also racial elements and social class elements mixed in. But I've never seen something that, at least from my male gaze, captures the horror of becoming a parent for the first time in those first few months.
Right. Yep.
It was such a powerful read, and yeah, I love it when something like that pops up, and you just get hooked on something, and it just gives you a different perspective of like I don't necessarily need to be thinking in terms of monsters and things, and actually looking at, um, yeah, just giving yourself the freedom to be like, okay, I can articulate some of these thoughts about
Yes.
how I found parenting difficult, or how modern life is largely pretty crap, or things like AI, or things like the drudgery of going to your day job and just sort of doing the same thing over and over again, and sort of questioning like what difference is this actually making. There's like horrors to be found in all of those kind of things
Hmm.
as well, which I probably haven't explored fully in my writing yet, but it's all I see reading that often as part of the craft of kind of like exploring what stories are being told, what voices are coming out there, and just different ways in which you can tap into those things that are sort of flying around your head, and clearly wanting to have something done with them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I avoided reading while I was working on manuscripts previously, but for this last manuscript, I actually found I'd like really had a huge uptake in what I was reading.
Mm,
Just, I'm not sure. I think it's because I might be a bit more confident about not being a leech in terms of like
yeah,
style now. So I'm comfortable sort of absorbing other people's work, but not replicating it on the page while that's happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's all influence, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
mean, like taking it back to King, I mean, he says in On Writing, like the two things you have to do are write a lot and read a lot.
Yes.
Um, so if he's saying that, then there's probably something in it.
Do you think he's watched Widow's Bay?
Oh, I imagine he has. Yeah, I mean, he's to be honest, I don't because he's gone back to X, which is a bit of a
Oh, has
shame,
he?
and I do,
Oh, really?
and I think he posts on Threads quite a lot, which I just don't have the time to engage in. So
No.
he's probably talking about them there. But yeah, Widow's Bay has passed me by because it's on as I mean, I don't have any streaming services, so
Okay.
it's on something that I don't watch. But I know the Losers Club podcast have been talking about it, but Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've told you how much stuff I'm doing. I don't have time to watch a
Yeah,
series.
yeah, it's impressive. Yeah, if you do find the time and maybe a torrent, never know. I won't tell
Mm.
anyone. Uh, so, um, tell me about Chapter 19, the band, and how that's like is like how that project sort of started. And I mean, I saw an Instagram reel of yours a couple of weeks ago where you were very passionately talking about Palestine on stage, and I thought
Mm.
that was a outlier, especially sort of in the club space. And it was great to see you, like, passionately speaking just for justice up there. And what's the rest of the band's take on that as well?
Oh,
It's sort of like
few
a
parts to that question.
yeah,
Yeah.
few parts. Yeah, sorry.
So I'll give you a potted history of the band
Yes.
first. So the band's actually been going since 2019. So I was in a two piece, and we'd done a couple of EPs, and we were going to record an album or a longer EP in early 2019. And the guy we record with um, is now the drummer in Chapter 19. And basically, the guy who was the drummer in the two piece before, he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And by that point, we'd done pre-production. And Chris, our producer, was like, "Well, I'm a drummer. I know all these songs. Why don't I do the drums at least for the recording?" So we did that, and then we just we'd been friends for a while. He'd recorded a couple of my bands, and we knew that we had a lot of crossover of musical influences, and we just started jamming from there, and started writing songs, and it was really exciting. And then life just kept getting in the way. So we put out the first Chapter 19 single. In September of that year. That was our single about Stephen King. We put it out on his birthday because it's not at all creepy at all. And obviously, the 19 in Chapter 19 is a
Yes.
nod to Stephen King. And then we put out another single, and then we had our first. So we were still a two piece at that point. We had our first gig scheduled for March 2020, which was obviously
Yeah. Good
a bad
timing.
time.
Yeah.
And then we had about 2 years where basically every time we tried to do something, something happened. So it would be so we're geographically we're about an hour's drive from each other, so it's kind of finding somewhere in the middle to practice. And we were trying to get in the habit of rehearsing once a month. We had we had 1 month where one of our children had chickenpox, and the other was about to get their kids vaccinated for chickenpox. It's like, right, we can't do that. We had 1 month where it was the weather was so bad here that the advice from the government was like, do not travel. So like, cool, okay, not doing that. We had 1 month where his daughter was rushed into hospital, and it was just like, okay, the world does not want us to do this. We had a sort of post-COVID gig. We were meant to be our then first show was meant to be one of the first post-COVID gigs. Then we went back into lockdown, so that didn't happen. And then it was just like we had a year where we didn't really do anything. And then then weirdly, I ended up joining a Britpop band with one of the dads from my kid's school. And I went back to Chris and was like, "We've got these songs. I think you." Chris also plays in a Britpop covers band. It's like, would you fancy recording them and sticking drums on them? And then the inevitable happened. He liked the songs, and we ended up doing that as a band for a year. Um, and I think just getting back in the room with him and finally playing live with him, it was like, we've got to do something with the Chapter 19 stuff. We've had these songs. And then the Britpop band kind of came to an end last year. And Chapter 19 played its first proper gig at my 40th birthday party just before Christmas. And by now we had a bass player as well, which was what we always wanted. We wanted to do something to actually have that separation between guitar and bass, because I was doing both before.
Right.
And then this year has just been like, right, three of us we're all married with kids, we've all got jobs. It's like, okay, we're going to pick and choose which gigs we do, and we're just going to like get the most out of everything we can. So we've got new recordings, we're putting them out to labels, and we've started putting the gigs out. We started doing a couple of gigs. And then to bring it to your question about Palestine and I guess activism and sort of standing up for justice and stuff, I think I've been so fed up since October 2023. I've been so fed up of like how few of the people I respect who have got platforms have
Hmm.
actually said anything. And like there are some who have exposed themselves as being people that I'm not interested in following anymore, and
Sure. Yeah.
that's been useful. But it's the ones who just kind of don't say anything that it's like, come on, you've got a platform, you owe it to your followers to do something here. And that's the way I've always seen it. I'm very conscious my platform is tiny in comparison to
Mhm.
most people, but I still think it's important to use what platform I have to speak up on things I'm passionate about. And yeah, with the Palestine stuff, like I've sort of the two gigs we've played this year, I've sort of done what I've labeled my woke rant. Um, but it's actually been what's been really you're right, kind of like when the first gig when I decided to do it and sort of playing in this tiny little club with only a few people there, I was like, is this just going to come across as like performative bullshit or is it actually going to be worth doing? And the response was really positive, and like it wasn't just in a sort of drunken people going, "Woo!" Like
Yeah, yeah,
there
yeah.
was a genuine engagement there, and so putting it up on social media afterwards has been helpful as well. So it's something I stand by doing and that
For
I
sure.
want to do. Um, and yeah, I just feel like as I said on stage, it's like it's a privilege to be able to play music and have people come and watch. It's a privilege to have that microphone and have people's attention for half an hour. And it would be, I just think it'd be just wrong of me to not use a few minutes at that point to be like, okay, I'm going to tell you some things that I think are important and that I'd love you
Mhm.
to take away from this. So yeah, talking about Palestine, wearing my keffiyeh on stage, wearing my Free Palestine bracelet, but also talking, reminding people that, J.K. Rowling's like not someone to admire, and that trans people have rights, and
Yes.
that racism is a bad thing and sexism is a bad thing. In terms of how the rest of the band feel, they're definitely with me. I mean, neither of them are guys who are comfortable sort of speaking out on the mic. I think I've
Right.
got to a point where I'm just a bit more like I'm confident in what I believe in and that I don't mind sharing my views and speaking them out there. Um, but yeah, I think they understand that it's important to me, and I'm I'm the dude in the band with the microphone, so
Too bad.
ultimately it's kind of onto me. But I'm sort of I'm weaving a lot of my activism into the songs as well in terms of the lyrics. So
Yes. Yeah.
we've got a song about ICE. I've just written a song about the horrific motherless website where men are sort of teaching other men to rape their own wives, which is
Oh God.
really pleasant thing.
Mm.
Um, and it's good. I think it's good in terms of like when I talk to the guys about what I'm writing lyrically and sort of have those woke rants on stage. Like I think it provokes a bit of conversation of band practice as well, and that's really really interesting, and it sort of takes it beyond just the usual band banter or moaning about our kids. And I like engaging in conversation with people that I'm friends with and just getting them thinking a bit differently and hearing what they have to say, and maybe like pointing them in direction of places where they can go and look and find out a bit more information
I,
about things.
I think it's refreshing too because I think the Instagram algorithm in particular is sort of like pretty much been cleansed now of a lot of that.
Mm.
So to see, a little bit of things still, those voices still, coming in unexpected ways maybe does help.
Yeah,
Because yeah, the feed has been well and truly washed at this point.
yeah. But it's
Um,
definitely like people in those clubs who've watched us play, like that it's probably not the kind of thing that they would proactively stand up and shout
yes,
themselves. But when they hear someone say it, I think it does tend to connect with them. I mean, when we played the song about the Rape Academy website, and both times we've played it, I've sort of dedicated it to everyone in the room who identifies in a woman, and I've also said that every man in the room, including me and my bandmates, need to continue to do better, and that's kind of got the biggest cheer of the night.
yep,
Um, and again, it's like I, I think the biggest thing for me is making sure it comes across, like I said earlier, is not just being a performative thing that I'm ticking because we're recording the set and we're going to put some stuff on social media, and hopefully it comes across of like, no, I do actually believe in what I'm saying here.
yes,
It's not just a thing for the likes kind of stuff. Um, but also I'm 40 now. Like it's kind of like I don't I don't care what you think. Like this, I'm gonna say this at you, and if you disagree, like okay, whatever. But I've got the microphone, so you're gonna have to listen to it.
Well, I think, as much as the not to delve into sort of like, the language of, internet conspiracy or anything, but I think the tide has turned in terms of, like people are, predominantly, pro-Palestine and
Mm,
extremely wary of Israel at this point. And, they just don't want to admit that.
yeah, yeah,
It's very much, even in Australia that's got like, the lobby is so heavy there. Like, I think it's about 70%, 75% of people are, extremely anti-Israel, the state,
yeah. I mean,
what they're
we've
up
seen
to.
it here. Like so, my along with the rest of my family, we so there's a local Justice for Palestinians group where I live in Warwickshire, in the middle of England, and they do vigils every week in
Mm.
different towns around Warwickshire. So they come into our town once a month, and we take the boys and go there, and the boys hand out flyers for them, and we sort of read out the names of children who've been murdered by Israel, and just read out poetry and different readings and stuff. And we've been attending those vigils for over a year now, and yeah, the tide has turned even on that. Like, it used to be like every time we go up there, you could pretty much set a timer to it that every 10 minutes some boomer gammon would come up to you and
Yep.
shout at you and just give you a bit of aggro. Whereas now we probably get maybe in the over the course of a 1 hour vigil, we maybe get one person who is a bit aggro towards us. Whereas now it's like the cars are driving past, popping their horns. We've had people on bikes coming down. We're getting people sign up and joining us. So yeah, it really does feel like there is more of a positivity towards publicly expressing support for it,
Yeah.
which feels like a crazy thing to say because it's like,
Yeah.
why
What's
should
not
that be a
to?
surprise
Yeah.
that people are standing up about genocide? But yeah, you're right. It's one of those things. But again, it kind of it shows the power in like even regular normal people using whatever platform they have, regardless of how small it
Yeah.
is. So whether it's going and standing in your town centre for an hour and holding a sign, or reading some names out, which I was lucky enough to do at one of our vigils, or taking your kids along and having them hand out leaflets, or if you've got a microphone on stage, or if you've got a book.
Podcast.
One of my short
Yeah.
stories a couple of
Yeah.
years ago was a Palestine one to raise money for Palestine. It's like it all adds up, and people see it, and people, we're all influencers of our immediate friends and family. And I think if
What
you're passionate about something, you can take that stand.
I had my hairdresser the other day tell me that I'd radicalized her on AI through a podcast I recorded about Alien Earth
Amazing.
last August, I think. And we sort of, yeah, we'd sort of gotten into AI on that, and she's like, "Oh my God, I never thought about the sustainability," and I was like, oh, "You're welcome, welcome,
Hmm. Yeah.
join the gang." Yep. Yeah, yeah. So it's, yeah, just you're never sure, or you never know where you're going to sort of have some sort of influence, or, you know, hopefully make some positive sort of impact on people when it comes to sort of, broadening their or expanding their horizons on things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I was
Definitely.
sort of pumped with that one. Just like,
It's
just don't
good.
mess up the
That's a
hair
thing.
either, please. Um, so yeah, I did have like, I was wondering on the Stephen King front, like I I mean, I've been a fan since I was a kid. Like I was like, I think when we talked about this a few years ago on your podcast, I'm pretty sure it was like It or Eyes of the Dragon that was probably the first thing I'd read. And I came
Mhm.
back to him sort of like probably in the 2010s and sort of caught
Mhm.
up. And how are you finding this sort of like late period in terms of like the output and um the not so much genre, but just sort of like the sort of settling into sort of like the Trump crank sort of
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
zone.
been a bit hit and miss, I think, the last few years. I mean, like he's at that point now where he can literally do whatever the hell he
Do it,
wants,
yeah,
and
and no one's going to edit
yeah,
him,
that's
and it's
yeah,
quite clear
and
that
it's
no one's editing him.
and also like I'm fine with that. Like
Yeah,
do what you want, put out what you want. I think that I know a lot of people get frustrated with him constantly sort of slamming on Trump in his writing. To be honest, it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, it's almost an extension of what we were just talking about.
yes,
He's using his platform to put out some views. I happen to agree with those
yeah,
views, and
yeah,
I have no issue with him with his work sort of logging for the rest of human history what a jerk Donald Trump is.
hmm
Like
hmm
that's fine with me. And I think in terms of people have got frustrated about how he's written COVID into his some of his more recent works, and I can see that because I think we're still so close to COVID that it's
yes.
almost like people are just that we're still getting past and getting back into normality, and I think potentially that writing might age well.
Well, I
Like in
think, yeah,
30
that's
years,
my sort of
people,
concern with the Trump stuff, I guess, is like, yeah, it just sort of it sits it in a pocket in terms of like
yeah,
it dates it. Whereas,
but
so you
but
could have a Greg Stilson or whatever, and those same traits still apply.
yeah, I mean, you can look at some of King's earlier works, and he does have digs at
For
governments
sure.
past.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's something I think it's kind of King is so online now. I think that you see a lot of his online persona come through into his writing, and
Yes.
I think because he's spending so much time putting stuff out there and getting a reaction, and obviously getting a bit of an endorphin rush from sort of
Yeah,
prodding
he's
the wasp's nest, it's like, well, I'm going to stick this in my writing. Um, I mean, in terms of his actual output, oh, yeah, it's been a bit hit and miss. I loved You Like It Darker. I thought that collection of
hmm
stories was incredible and just showed he's still a master of the shorter form. The Holly stuff, the true crime stuff, has never quite been my bag, and I think he would admit himself, and he did in the afterword for Never Flinch last year, that that felt like a slog, and that felt like something that he was almost contracted to
Yes.
get out rather than he wanted it out.
Yeah.
And I think I've said on my channel I would have rather taken a fallow year last year than had a book out that was such a slog for him. And obviously we're sitting here a few months out from the third Talisman book. The Talisman series is not one of my favorites, and it's going to be interesting to see how he's written this without Peter Straub.
Yes. Yes.
Um, it feels kind of like he's getting, I don't want to quite say he's getting his affairs in order because that sounds really sort of doom
Grim.
laden, but it does feel like he's getting to the bottom of his to-do list in terms of right, I rounded off the Talisman saga, and he posted about it on Threads saying that it's the final Dark Tower book as well, which I mean, never say
Right.
never, but it's almost like okay, maybe we're not going to get any more stories from that world anymore. And then it's like, well, what else is he going to do? He's already said he's writing another Holly book, and I think he has indicated that that's the final Holly Gibney book. And there've been hints in interviews recently where he's sort of been saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to write two more and then be done." I mean, he's retired almost as many times as Kiss have retired, so like again,
Stephen
take
King
that with it.
avatars.
Yeah,
3D
and
Stephen
obviously
King. Yeah.
he's got his sons as well who may well pick up stuff, but it's I don't know. I'm happy with him just being happy, still being creative and putting his stuff
Oh,
out
totally.
there. From a selfish point of view, I just want to get him on my YouTube channel so I can interview him. And then I can feel like I've completed that, because I've
Close that
covered all his
circle.
books, I've colored all the films. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to get Joe Hill on first and Owen King on, talk to them, and then be like, "Can you just get your dad to get in touch?" Um,
Have you got avenues to attempt that or?
Yeah, I mean, I've got something in the works with Joe Hill. I've been in touch
Oh,
with his
cool.
UK publisher, so it's just trying to coincide it with when he's actually doing a press run.
Yep.
I mean, with I've asked the question with Stephen King's publicist. I ask it sort of once a quarter just to keep checking, and most of the time it just so happens that that's the email that they don't reply to. Um, but again, I'm persistent. I will keep going. Um, yeah, but yeah, I'm happy he's still here. Happy he's still doing stuff. Um, it might be if I disagreed with his politics, it might be different, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
But he's still a damn good storyteller, and that's what I'm there for, really.
Yeah, I think that the story in If You Like It Darker actually that was the follow-up to Jim McKee was what convinced me to read Jim McKee
Hmm.
finally. Yeah, so definitely the shorts, yeah, are compelling, and he's still got that knack in that
Yeah.
regard for sure. And I did like Billy Summers quite a lot for
Yeah,
something
I
that
did
was.
as well.
I was sort of shocked, well, surprised about the sort of Shining sort of eking its way in
Mm.
there, but nonetheless, yeah, I thought that was a solid crime novel in that. Yeah, a solid swing on that one for sure.
Definitely. Definitely.
So what's the next release you've got coming up with the project? Is it a collaboration?
So yeah, so Retail Hell has just come out, and then we've got two more schisms to get through over the rest of the summer. So yeah, the Deepest Fears one and the Demons one, and then September is one that I am in the process of just starting to write. That's probably going to be a novella. I've got two ideas percolating at the moment. I will eventually release both of them. I just haven't sort of locked into writing one of them. One of them is kind of witchy, culty vibes. The other one, what I'd like to do is a haunted house story told by the house. Um, and I just kind of it's just not quite clicking, but it'll get there eventually. And then the rest of the year, I want to do October, obviously Halloween. I've got a few stories that are like loosely sort of tied to sort of Universal monster type things. So I want to do like a sort of short collection of silly monster stories. I'd love to do like an advent calendar type book of Christmas themed stories. And then there's probably one more standalone story I'm going to write based on just, I mean, it's kind of where ideas come from, like based on just last December, my wife and I went away for my birthday for a couple of days, and we were staying in a cabin that was off this field that was a field of sunflowers, but we were there, it was December, so the sunflowers were all dead and blackened. And there was just something about that field of sunflowers in winter that I just really liked. So yeah, I'm gonna work that up. And then yeah, that'll tick off the 12 in a year. And then as I mentioned earlier, I've finished my first draft of my novel.
Right.
I'm gonna try putting that out to see if any agents might be interested, just because why not?
Yep.
Um, Otherwise, I'm very comfortable releasing stuff myself. So 2027 will probably be a novel, um, and maybe some more schism stuff as well. But yeah, just keep
Cool.
ticking over. Just keep letting the ideas come washing in. Um, I've got an idea for the second novel as well, so I'll probably start writing that at some point. But yeah, just keep putting stuff out there. Keep reminding people that I exist.
So where can people find you if they want to hunt down the project and the music and everything else?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, Dave Musson, and davemussonauthor.com is for all the books, and there's links there to get all the books. All of my books in ebooks are available for free. All I ask is that people rate and review them afterwards. Even if you don't like them, leave a review, rate them. I still get value from seeing that feedback. And there's a sign up to my newsletter there, which is probably the most reliable way of staying in touch, because there's no algorithm driving that.
Yeah.
If you sign up, then I've got direct access to your inbox, and I can give you a little something every week. And the newsletters I try to, obviously I've got lots of stuff that I'm doing that I talk about, but I also try to give you book recommendations in the newsletter as well. So it's not just me talking about me.
Cool. Thanks very much, Dave. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to catch up, man. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me.